Following the Pahimpunan ke Pakistan Rakyat, which was big, but it wasn't a Bersih event as I understand. It was an event sponsored, organized rather, by the Pakistan Rakyat. You were there and you did speak about how your role as chair of Bersih was to push the new agenda for Bersih, or the continuing agenda. Could you tell us what exactly Bersih is going to be doing from now till the general elections or after?
Certainly. We have launched, for starters, we have launched Citizens Observers Campaign, a mission. Now, this is a very interesting campaign for us because, and it's not new, it's been seen to happen in 90 over countries around the world. Citizens actually take it upon themselves to be observers of their elections. Of course, we're not allowed inside the polling stations because we're not accredited. So, but our observers will be outside the polling stations and picking up information. And the observation will start from now. I mean, from actually when they once the training is done. So it's not just on polling day. So we need about 10,000 volunteers. So far the response has been excellent. And I think that is one way in which we can, number one, minimize fraud. And it has also been seen to be able to reduce political violence, actually, interestingly, because the citizens are watching. So that's one thing that we're doing. The other campaign is to bring out the vote. As I've said, it is absolutely critical that everybody comes out and votes. Our voter turnout is pretty high, actually, it's about 70-odd%. But if we can push it to higher than that, then we have a chance of mitigating some of the fraud that we think is going to take place. So those are the two key projects that
Let's maybe take the first one, observation. I think they are, of course, professional outfits that do observation. They are those sponsored by the European Commission or the Carter Center or the Asian Network Free in Elections. Are those kind of professional outfits who have expertise in observation, are they going to be participating as well? I mean, is that something that you would like to see happen in Malaysia, along with the citizen participation?
Yes, I would certainly like to see that happen. And in fact, ideally, the Election Commission should invite them, because if the Election Commission invites them and they're accredited, then they can go into the polling station. They have far more access, and then their observation becomes more meaningful. So I would like to see a participation of these bodies, and of course they have the experience. They've done it in so many countries. So that's the situation.
Well, the Elections Commission itself is sponsoring or inviting local groups to participate in an observation mission. How does Bersih's project relate to that?
Well, as I say, because they are accredited, they will have access into the stations. We will be outside. And our observation will be from before the elections, certainly at least from at the very least from the time Parliament is dissolved. And I think because of that, it's complementary. I think the two roles will be complementary.
I know there are some NGOs that were invited and have pulled out. Do you have an understanding of the terms? Because I understand that the controversies or the problems that some of the NGOs have to do with the terms of reference that the Elections Commission has given these observers. Do you yourself have an opinion on those terms of reference?
Oh yeah, I mean, from what I read of those terms and conditions, they appear very onerous. I mean, they're literally gagging the observer groups. But nevertheless, I would still encourage those who have been invited to please continue. This is new, it's new for everyone. Please try and negotiate with the EC as much as you can, but regardless of that, please stay on board, because we need, as many observers as we can get.
How does Bersih plan to relate to the media in terms of these processes? I understand often that the media plays an extraordinarily important role in keeping information out there, keeping people informed as things develop. Do you see yourselves working closely with mainstream media or the alternative media?
Yes, well, we certainly do. And because we are going to have continuous reports, we're going to have a location where that's going to be our operations room, as it were. And we would like to work with the media, obviously, because getting the information out to the people is what is important. But ultimately, we will write a final report. Of course, that will be after the elections are over. But yes, we would like to work with the media.
Do you see a scenario where Bersih and its observation mission comes out and says this election was so riddled with fraud that it actually nullifies the results, that it somehow isn't, the results do not reflect the will of the people? Do you see a scenario like that possibly panning out?
I don't see it perhaps such an extreme situation, but what I think you will see are controversies in hotspots. It's not going to happen everywhere, but there are certain key seats which are marginal, which are considered hotspots, which we are identifying. We will not be able to be present in every constituency, so we are only going to concentrate on the hotspots. So really, you might see that happening in those particular constituencies, yes.
Now, at the Perhimpunan, you said that Bersih is not aligned, it's not with the Pakatan Rakyat necessarily or any political party. When you ask people to come out, in the second part of your project to get the vote out, how do you get people to come out if you're not going to somehow suggest that they vote for one party or the other? I mean, how do you make that distinction?
Yeah, no, well, not very difficult actually. I always say, come out and vote, but I will not tell you who to vote for. And I've been consistent in saying that. We have been consistent in saying that. We can't. It's the right of the voter who they vote for. So that's all. Just come out and vote, because that's how you can actually balance the system out to be more fair. Yeah.
But finally, I do think that somehow that people see the relationship between a free and fair election and the change of government as kind of closely related, right? They will think of the government in power as being somehow responsible for the lack of democracy in this country. And so the argument is made that in fact, if we want to see political change in this country, we must be voting for the federal opposition. Now, is that something that you personally kind of buy into, that you're persuaded by this argument?
If you look at our overall policy and what it is we are saying, as far as we are concerned, we're not actually worried about the final result. Our aim is to look at the process. Whoever people, the majority, vote for ultimately, whether it is Barisan or Pakatan government, and it is through clean and fair elections, we must respect that. That's all we're saying. But you can only respect that and honour that if the elections are clean and fair.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.